All right, we're going to go through how to install and use the Awful Jade Mac application. All right, so all you need to do is open up the App Store and search for Awful Jade. And here's the app, Chat with Qwen 3 on device. So all you need to do is click download, and then we can open the app. This is the user interface. The system prompt is listed up at the top. It is not editable. You are Jade, created by Awful Security. So the first thing that we want to do is go up here to where it says Jade Qwen 3 4-bit 4B. That means 4-bit quantization, 4 billion parameters. You can click on that and you're given an option of different models. The models that I fine-tuned are the top two models, the 4-bit and the 8-bit. As of right now, the 8-bit models do not run on iOS devices, so the 8-bit will not work on your iPhone yet, but the option is there for when it does. And then the two listed below it, Qwen 3 Qwen 3 4 billion parameters, Qwen 3 8 billion parameters. These two models are the models, it is the model before I fine-tuned it. This is the general model that Jade was made from. So you want to just leave the default selected, and what will happen is for our first search, I guess my finger isn't electric enough for the keyboard. For our first search, we'll just do something simple. What is your name? Unfortunately, dictation isn't too smart. And now what happens, if it seems like it's taking a while, is you see this square appeared up at the top here with the arrow in it. What's happening is the model's downloading in the background. So it's about 2 gigabytes. So depending on how fast your internet speed is, the download might take anywhere from 2 minutes to probably 5 minutes on average. So you might have to wait a little bit before you get your first response. The great thing about this app is that once the model is downloaded, you never have to worry about it again. It will stay downloaded on your phone and you won't have to go through the waiting. Well, it looks like the download disappeared, so here's our answer. Now Jade thinks inside of these thinking tags that you see here. Think and think. So this is Jade's thought process as she's coming up with your answer. And then here's her answer. My name is Jade, as mentioned in the provided text. Jade, created by Awful Security. So this ran in 20.45 tokens per second. You can think of a token as a word. So it spit out about 20 of these words every second, which is fast. It's very fast for an LLM that's just running on your phone. One of the coolest features about this is that once you have that, or once the initial download is finished, once the model is on your phone, and you can ask it questions, you no longer need the internet. We can even here switch this over to airplane mode. Airplane mode, let's disconnect from Wi-Fi. If it lets me disconnect from Wi-Fi. There we go. Disconnect from Wi-Fi. Now we no longer have the internet, but we can still chat with our LLM. This is great for long plane rides, trips through the desert, wherever you happen to be that doesn't have the internet. You still have the entire internet's worth of knowledge on your phone to ask questions to. Let's try out some more of the features. So this keyboard stays up after you press in the input box. If you want it to disappear, you just touch between the input box and the keyboard disappears. Tap the input box, it comes back. Another feature that I added was often I'll need to edit the output. Let's copy this message and then send back just a piece of the output to ask a question about. So you can just slide from the side of the screen and you get a scratch pad, which is just a little editable text box. You can paste whatever you want in here. And let's just cut out this block. And we can go back and say, when you said this next part, I wasn't sure what you meant. Could you please explain it in simpler language? Question mark, oh, exclamation point. Now, if you see, sometimes it's not stuck right now. You can just scroll to keep up with the conversation. It doesn't always automatically scroll for you. Most of the time it does. There. Once it catches up, it'll scroll for you. The text you provided is from a man page, a documentation file for macOS, but it seems to be a brief snippet about an AI assistant named Jade created by Awful Security. Here's a simpler explanation of the relevant part. Jade, created by Awful Security, this means the AI assistant is named Jade. It was developed or designed by a organization called Awful Security. So if someone asks, what is your name, and I, Jade, respond, it would be based on this line. The rest of the text you shared seems unrelated. For example, to execute a command or man1 commands might be part of different documentation. Let me know if you'd like help clarifying the rest. Now, the reason she's talking about man pages and documentation is because Jade is specially trained, fine-tuned on macOS, iOS, iPhone, and systems programming documentation. So she likes to talk about documentation. She can help with other things though. If we keep chatting, this is all going to be the same conversation. So, she has a memory of about 30,000 words she'll remember of the conversation before she starts forgetting the oldest parts of the conversation. So if we want to start a new conversation, all we do is close the app, reopen it, and she's back. Let's try something a little bit more interesting. Something that I thought was especially cool that I didn't discover until after I developed this Scratchpad feature. So Apple added their own AI tools, of course, to their phone. So I thought, oh, that's really interesting. I could use those tools to kind of format the outputs from Jade and then, paste it into other documents, whether it's a PowerPoint presentation or a Word document, anything like that. So let's try something interesting. Let's say, please, always be nice to your LLMs. Always be nice to anybody you're asking assistance from. Let's say, Provide a list of 10 words that will be useful to me in Egypt. Please write them in both Arabic calligraphy and include the transliterations. Right. Let's use correct grammar. If you use good grammar, you get better outcomes. Please write them in both Arabic calligraphy and include transliterations. Also, if you use emojis to signify your emotions, you will typically get more personable responses. So let's throw in the Egyptian flag. I just recently met a friend that lives in Egypt, so she inspired this particular prompt. And we are nothing if not a nerd, so let's put on our thinking glasses. Well, she thought I said translations, not transliterations, but this can still help us. Let's copy this. Let's use the scratch pad. We'll paste it into our scratch pad, and now we can what we want is select all. Select all. Now we can use Apple's writing tools. Let's try, here we go. Let's ask for a table. Apparently it doesn't want to give me a table. We can just ask it though. Oh, never mind. To use all writing tools capabilities, connect to the internet. And it looks like we hit a feature of ours that beats Apple any day. You need to be connected to the internet to use Apple's AI tools, but not Jade. For fun, let's connect to the internet again. Go back to our scratch pad. Now we should be able. Okay, we don't want to describe our change. Can we just say ask for a table? Yes. So we ask for a table. That's not what we want. Let's be more specific with Apple. Describe your change. Please extract the Arabic words and English translations into a table. There we go. Like magic, we now have a markdown table of English word to Arabic translation. Let's select this, copy it. Let's go back to Jade and say, just use dictation. Can you please add a column to the following table for the Spanish translation? Hopefully dictation will be able to hear the intonation in our voices and add question marks at some point. If you know how to do that, if I'm just doing something wrong, please let me know. Now let's paste in our table. Oops. And see if we can get a Spanish translation. There we go. we now have a table of English words, taxis, and then what is this Arabic word? There's letters in there, I don't know. That looks like a ra. What is that backwards S again? I don't remember. Ra, rawab, alaba, alaba. Saya? I'm not sure. I'm not great at Arabic. Please don't yell at me. There's lots of letters in here I haven't learned yet. But incredibly useful. Let's try another question. Let's close this so we get a new conversation. Let's see. Let's do something, you know, programmy. Programmy? What's a better word for that? Let me know. Please write me a Rust program that prints the byte representations of emojis. My phone doesn't like my fingers. Oh no. I guess dictation mode is just stuck on. Let's close this. That is not my app. That is just the common experience trying to use probably what would be the most useful features on phones if they could make it work. Please write me a Rust program that prints the byte representations of emojis. Oh no. Bike representations, we don't want that. We want the byte representations of emojis. Let's throw in a little pleading prayer, and how about the subface? There we go. Because we need it. Certainly, here's a simple Rust program that prints the byte representations of the emojis, prayer, and a little cute pleading face. For emoji and emojis, print line, emoji, bytes, we encode it to UTF-8, and we pass in a byte slice. That seems like a strange API. We would want to test this for sure, because that's not exactly how I would use this function, but you know, I don't know, I don't have the API memorized. Here you go. Explanation converts the emojis into a byte slice. Okay, I guess we can just pass in an empty byte slice, which is useful for inspecting its raw binary representation. The output will look something like this. Emojis are often represented using UTF-8, which can take up more than one byte. For example, prayer and completing are both composed of multiple UTF-8 code points. The program uses the encode UTF-8 method, which is available in Rust Standard Library. Oh, that's useful, and tells us how to compile the little file and then run it. Then asks if we'd like more, and that is basically it. It is not a feature-packed application, and this just showcases some of what we can do. Oh, actually, a piece that I was pretty proud of, let's start another new conversation, is it renders mathematical equations in LaTeX so that they're easier to read, so that you don't have to read the LaTeX markup. What should we ask? I know. There is a hole in the drainage plug of my bathtub. So now the water drains out slowly while I'm taking a bath. Can you please show me the mathematics behind the fluid dynamics that tell me how to calculate how long it will be until my bathtub is empty? Please output the math equations in LaTeX. This is pretty close to an actual problem that I was trying to solve the other day. Let's scroll to keep up with the conversation. To calculate the time it takes for your bathtub to empty due to a hole in the drainage plug, we apply fluid dynamics principles rooted in Torricelli's law and continuity equations. Here's the mathematical breakdown. The tub is circular with a radius, height, and initial water volume. Unfortunately, the LaTeX does not render if it's inside of a list. So let's hope Jade output the equations all together somewhere. But here she's laying out the variables for us that we'll need. Here is Torricelli's law. V equals the square root of 2gh quad. Does that mean to the fourth? I don't know. I don't know LaTeX. I don't think many people know LaTeX, so no shame in my game. Text where h is the height of the water above the hole. The fluid is incompressible and frictional losses are negligible. Here we go. And here is our rendered math equations. The rate of volume loss is d of v over dt. That is in, what are they called? Integrals or derivative? I'm not great at math, I'm sorry. It's been a long time. Equals negative a times the square root of 2gh, where h is the water height at the time. This looks legitimate to me. Oh no, doesn't, kind of messed up the formatting on this simplifies too, but I could get there from here. Solving the differential equation, separate variables and integrate. I remember this from Calc 1. simplify. Here is our final formula. Now, I'm not going to go into ensuring this is correct, but this looks very logical to me. Where you want to be careful, though, is that large language models are not known for being great at math. So, as I would like to cheer and call this a win, I am not knowledgeable enough to say that this is entirely true. It looks very correct, but I would not just copy it onto your homework assignment and call it a day. I would go through and understand each step of solving this problem. But you can see how, oh, nice, it even plugs in some numbers for us. This means your bathtub will empty in approximately 3.2 minutes. And then some notes about the formula. So yeah, that is pretty much the entirety of the functions of this little chat application that I made. Again, the coolest part is that because you don't need the internet, you can use it anywhere. You can use it on planes, you could use it on the desert, you could use it on a boat in the middle of the ocean where you might have to solve some problems that you don't have a book for. And it could be a great help. A secondary benefit of this is that all of your conversations are completely private. I do not collect any data from any person using the app. No data at all. You don't need any account. You don't need to pay anything. And no data ever leaves your phone. And the proof of that is that you can use it while it's in airplane mode without any internet. So yeah, your data is not being mined. It's not being collected. Honestly, I'm sure you're very interesting people, but to go through all of your conversations and data would be incredibly boring and a waste of my time. So I hope you enjoy the app. Again, if you go to your app store, you can find it by searching Awful Jade. And it should be under the first advertisement, the first result. You can notice my little vampire teeth. That is her logo. I hope you enjoy it.